Well, hello again there, ladies and gents. Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, and today we're going into the week 2. So this is basically the end of week 2 of the contest prep. And last week, which was the first week, I kind of went through and showed you what my macros were, what my body fat percentages were via DEXA, in-body, and caliper test. And I showed you basically what foods I was hitting to hit those macros. Today I want to really just show you those foods. So I've got the foods that I am eating in front of me here, and I should note that this is, being week 2, I've adjusted my macros slightly. I adjust macros every single week. So if you can recall, last week let me see where I was last week. Last week I was consuming 3,498 calories, 305 grams of fat, and 155 grams of protein, and about 20 grams of carbs. Now, what I've done is I've basically dropped my fat grams by 10, and I've increased my protein grams by 5. This is going to decrease my fat ratio slightly, decrease my total calories slightly. I don't normally get as aggressive as dropping fat by 10 grams. Normally it's by 5 grams, but since I've got so many calories to play with, I'm still, even after that adjustment, I'm still consuming 3,469 calories, so still quite a bit of food. So my current goals are total fat 295 grams, 20 grams of carbs, that's remained stable, and 160 grams of protein instead of the 155. So most of my meals have stayed the same. I'm just going to show you what those are. So in the morning I have, actually let me preface this a little bit. Let's talk about meal prep. So I'm literally meal prepping everything. Or I guess I should clarify and say my wife Crystal is meal prepping everything because I've got to keep her. She's a good one. But meal prepping, especially during a contest prep, is key in my opinion because it just removes all the variables. You're going to be less likely to go off course. You're going to be less likely to just have all these things come up in life. I mean, life's going to happen when you're in a prep or not in a prep, but it seems to always happen when you're in a prep. And if you've got your food readily available, prepped, hitting the macros you're shooting for, it's just one less excuse, one less variable that you have to worry about. And you got enough things going on. The last thing you want to have to do is have questions of where am I going to get my food, what food am I going to use to hit these macros just on the fly. Like if that's just already taken care of, then it's just one less thing to worry about. So to start, I have 2 coffees in the morning, one right when I wake up, and then one after I train. And I basically prepped, Crystal's basically prepped all of that fat, because I'm doing a fat fast basically in this Tupperware here. So this has got 6 tablespoons of heavy cream and 2 tablespoons of MCT oil, and I evenly distribute this between the 2 cups of coffee. I train in between those 2 cups of coffee. So I have a cup of coffee, train, and then have the second cup of coffee sometime thereafter. Normally at around 10 a.m., I wake up at 3, keep in mind. So about 10 a.m., kind of give you an idea of how long it is before my first meal after training. I have this here. So Tupperware full of, we have ground beef in here. We have, just to tell you exactly, we have 3 eggs, 28 grams to 1 ounce of liverwurst sausage, and 8 ounces of 85-15 ground beef. So that is what is in this meal. Typically, I add some salt there. I put some Redmond salt in that meal, and then I season it up with this big hunk of sauce here. This is not Scotch whiskey, but it's in a Scotch whiskey bottle. This is actually homemade hot sauce that my dad made this past weekend. So we have peppers growing on his land there, and he made this. And this is totally keto friendly. It's basically just vinegar, peppers, and good stuff like that. So not any real sense of calories in this. It just gives me some more flavor, and I can change my sauces, readily throughout the week. So I can meal prep all the same foods, but if I want to add some variety, I could change the sauces and the seasoning I'm using on top of those foods. I also have half of a keto brick during that first meal, so I'll cut this in half. I have 1 brick a day. I'll do half of one, and I'll have the first half with that first meal. The second meal is, if you can remember from the last one, I have a bone broth. And I didn't even grab the bone broth to show you, but I like a kettle and fire bone broth. I've been using the powdered bone broth that I got from F-Bomb. That's pretty good. Like, they've got a Cajun beef flavor that's really good. And I'll mix that with the drippings of my cod liver, which I didn't even grab that either. I'll be right back. Hold on. So in that bone broth, I'll take this cod liver here, and I get the King Oscar brand cod liver. There's probably other better brands out there. It's just what I have. But I'll open this up, and I'll drip, or I'll pour the drippings in this into the bone broth. So this is a very high-fat meal item. This can has got, where are the macros on this can? The macros aren't on this can. It's on the box, which is kind of weird. But the macros on the cod liver are 6 grams of protein, 0 grams of carbs, and 74 grams of fat. So that's a lot of fat that if you were to just eat the liver, you're going to be missing out on. That's why I open this up and drain this off into the bone broth, and then I'll blend that up with a little frothing wand and drink that. So I'm getting a little bit of protein from the bone broth and then a lot of fat from these remaining oils. And then I'll set this aside and eat this in my second meal, which is right here. So this is a Tupperware that has venison, which I killed last year, and there are 6 ounces of venison in that Tupperware. And I'll oftentimes mix this cod liver in with the venison. Sometimes I'll eat it separate. I'll normally put the sauce on there, and I'll have that as my second meal, along with the other half of the keto brick. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take half that keto brick and I'll mix it with this. This is Colina dairy-free, plant-based, plain and simple yogurt. And I've tried a lot of different yogurts. I'm really digging this stuff. It's got, for the jar, there's 4 ingredients: organic coconut, water, agar, and probiotic cultures. So the macros on this are 200 calories, 20 grams of total fat, 2 grams of total carbs, and 2 grams of protein. So a very ketogenic macro ratio there. And sometimes I'll, like I said, get that other remaining brick half, chop it up into pieces, blend it up with this. That's like a really good way to end the day from a food standpoint. But like I said earlier, these foods that I've just showed you yield my total macros for the day, which are 3,469 calories, 294 grams of total fat, and then 23 grams of total carbs, depending on what brick flavor you're using, and 161 grams of protein. So basically I'm within 0.1 to 3 grams of each macronutrient goal. I also recommend being as close to the macronutrient goal as you can. I always recommend to my clients get within 5 grams of the macro goal, because if you're consistently getting within 5 grams of the goal macros, you're going to be able to get good quality feedback on how your body's responding to that. And then when you make adjustments, you can make 5 gram increment adjustments or 10 gram increment adjustments, and then get real-time feedback based off of that, as opposed to having to fluctuate quite a bit between what your actual macros are versus your goal macros. Then when you make an adjustment, you've got like a 20 gram, 30 gram, 40, 50 gram variance between your adjustments. Just not really ideal. So that's what I'm currently eating. This is going to change every single week, very slightly, but still it's going to change every single week. So hope you enjoy, hope you learned something. See you next time.